Hey, brothers, what's going on? We're here with a first edition. We have a name, Charlie. We have a freaking name.
A vegan name.
We welcome to the VE movie news. So we got a name. Honestly, don't know why I didn't come to that sooner. I probably said in a previous video, oh, that wouldn't be a good name. I'm totally against that now. I like it. It just makes sense. It's on brand. Here we are. This differentiates it from the other content. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the big news that came out of the DCEU casting universe, which is that Robert Pattinson is going to be the new Batman. So first and foremost, we have to acknowledge that there has been some outrage about this. But something that we did as an exercise of patience and trying to understand this casting decision is you watched a movie last night before.
Yep.
Well, before I should have gone to bed, but before you went to bed. And so we watched a movie called Life, which was about the photographer that followed and captured all the really iconic shots that you've seen of James Dean. It's a really interesting story. If you're into that kind of weird sort of experimental filmmaking style, that's definitely what this movie is.
Like a really classic kind of indie film. It's on Netflix.
Oh yeah, it was really well done, and I think the critic consensus it got a pretty decent Rotten Tomatoes score, I want to say, and the critic consensus was, well, it was a really good movie. It wasn't perfect, and they don't know why, but they probably were expecting it to be a James Dean movie, and it wasn't. And to be fair, that wasn't what I was expecting because I didn't know much. But anyway, that aside, I thought he was pretty good in it. Only real problem I had with it, at times his accent wasn't perfect, but that's not really a big deal to me. I'm sure for others it would be a huge deal, like actors and stuff, but I personally wasn't that offended by it. I guess I'm not from New York, so, but anyway,
yeah.
But I am from the East Coast, so, I mean, I think I can somewhat speak to East Coast accents a little bit, and it was okay. But I first of all, what are your thoughts on Robert Pattinson as an actor? And then we'll get into the other stuff, so.
Yeah, man. I like the cast. I like the casting of it.
Bold move.
Yeah, it's very bold. And you know what? I'm like how they just kind of ripped the Band-Aid right off. They're like, all right, our movie's dropping, June 2021, Robert Pattinson's Batman. This is it. It's Matt Reeves' movie.
2021 is going to be so crazy.
Honestly, it's going to be nuts. And, yeah, man. So this is something we have the idea of doing is, well, instead of just sitting here judging him, like 99% of these people, he's the toilet guy. No, we see through the grapevines. He could have stayed with that money, but what did he do? He goes and does all these indie films for the past like 10 years and really tries to build his credit as an actor.
And I think he's done that.
Absolutely, man. The best parts about that movie were Dane DeHaan and Robert Pattinson. So it's like, I love it.
And then playing against each other. I would love to see DeHaan. Is that how you pronounce it? The other actor that played James Dean in that movie. I would love to see him and Pattinson play in some other roles against each other. Maybe within this universe. Like, I don't know, maybe you could make, I was just thinking this, maybe DeHaan would be a really good Robin.
Yeah.
And maybe, because they kind of play well together as a lead and support role, so that would be interesting. Again, people are probably gonna be like, "What? Who is this guy?" But like, but yeah. Plus, people love Dick Grayson. By the way, for those of you out there, my favorite comic book character that I've ever read a comic or heard of a comic of is Nightwing. So don't come at me saying I don't know Dick Grayson. You know what I mean? Like, like that's you're gonna lose that argument. Well, you might win if you know more about comics, but like the truth is, to me, it means, and this is okay, and this is the point that I want to get to, and we'll bring up the Sonic thing. I know this is like death for people right now. We're also going to do what we probably shouldn't do and bring up Game of Thrones. But right now, this toxic fandom stuff, it's really not good for anybody.
It's not. It really isn't.
And it creates this situation where you can't really, I feel like it stifles creativity to a degree. Like, I feel like people, and this is, I think, part of the disconnect of when a film gets made or a TV show gets made, and then someone watches it way long after it's been done. Because for one, these people are already divorced from it, and they still have to do press for it and stuff like that. They've already said their goodbyes to it. This was done for them a while ago. But now you're getting 20,000 people was the number I saw. It probably has been increased since then to redo Game of Thrones. They're changing the Sonic movie, and now it's going to go and kill like Charlie's Angels in November because it got pushed back, or because they're having to change. I don't know if it got pushed back or anything, but I know it definitely is going to be changed, and it's going to be in November now. So, I mean, and honestly, people are entitled to their own opinions. You cannot like the Sonic design. You cannot like the season of Game of Thrones, and you cannot like the decision that we'll get to in a minute to pick who they were going to pick for the next Star Wars movies. Now, what I will say is, if you're going to have that opinion, acknowledge, if you feel that you have the right to that opinion, then acknowledge that other people, like me and Charlie, have the right to like the season of Game of Thrones, to be excited for the new Star Wars trilogy, and to want to see what Robert Pattinson is going to do. Because what we did, instead of saying, I can't believe it's Robert Pattinson, we said, okay, let's see what they're looking at. Let's see what he's done recently and see what he's like. And it seems like he actually does have some acting chops. What do I know about acting, right? But like, I think he's good, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. We probably just started to comment more, but all right, let's move on to the next story that's just as controversial. Benioff and Weiss are going to they're going to be producing, I believe, the next Star Wars trilogy. So these are these dates that we heard floated out there a little while back. I like how they're kind of piecing out this information slowly. They gave the dates, and they let people sit on the dates for a while and be like, I wonder what's going to be. People guessed the Benioff and Weiss, especially because Game of Thrones is ending. They were right. They're trying to avoid the Rian Johnson stink for now. Although, oops.
Yeah.
So I kind of stepped all over that previous segment when I was kind of breaking down how toxic fandom doesn't really work. Now that we're talking about this, Charlie, do you think this is going to be really like kind of an uphill battle now because of the reaction to the recent episodes of Game of Thrones?
Oh, hey, man, we know Star Wars fans kind of really got their grub being known as some of the worst there for a while, which, I mean, you and I both know there's good Star Wars fans, but there is some bad ones, as having to do with the Rose thing from Last Jedi.
That was so. I'm sorry, and again, this might anger people. That was disgusting. The things that were being said.
No, it's true.
I mean, he literally left social media for a while because of that. I mean, that's depressing when
that was the
fandom we are forcing people off social media because we didn't get our way. Like, we need not necessarily to course correct, but you need to acknowledge that that's not a good thing. People out there that are doing this. I mean, they probably never will.
Big thing, man. I mean, they really destroyed that poor girl, that poor woman. It's like, yeah. I think Game of Thrones has had just brilliant writing. But the one thing I see that people who actually seem to have some knowledge about being upset about it, they're like, oh, this is what happens when they don't have script material. They're like, because they're only good because of the script material. Which, it doesn't, I don't know.
So this is the thing about Benioff and Weiss. They're credited as the writers on this show. The only difference is George isn't there to write with them now. The thing that is also true is that a new book from George R. R. Martin hasn't been released since 2011. I mean,
the shows begin.
So it's like George wanted to finish the story a different way, but part of him also wanted to finish it in the books, and he got sidetracked. Now, I heard a theory that maybe this is actually the story, and he actually does have the other two books written, and he's going to release them after this comes out. That seems a bit absurd, but if that's the case, that would be insane, and it would really anger a lot of people at once. I would love for that to be the truth, because I would love to see what the reaction would be. If people would accept it, or if they would have a fit at George R. R. Martin.
Hey, man, when they lose their marbles, it's going to be awesome.
The only people that seem to be able to avoid this is the MCU. And it's crazy.
I'm sure they're going to get ripped apart for the next 3 years. And then when the movie comes out, it'll make a boatload of money and it'll be a fun movie.
Exactly. You're not wrong. All right. So I'm going to reference my rundown here because I don't remember where we're going to next. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is a fun story. So, well, we're going to finish out with the thing that you found, which I thought was fascinating. But this is another thing that you found that I had heard nothing about, but I was expecting to hear news about hopefully soon. So the Falcon and Bucky TV show for Disney Plus that has been announced for a while now, that's obviously going to feature Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie, which, I think we can start calling him Captain Falcon, even if it's not his official title. That's kind of where they're going with it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is I watched a super long interview with him I can't remember who did it, but I watched an interview that was long form interview. Oh, it was with IMDb. They did an interview with him. And it was like 40 minutes long, and he doesn't even know anything that's going to be happening at this point. All he knows is he picked up the shield. So he knows he's Captain America now, whatever that means, but he doesn't know what that means. He doesn't know what the costume is going to look like. I assume the same as can be said probably for Sebastian Stan. He probably knows less,
Yeah.
The interesting thing, I think, is that we'll essentially have Bucky being Cap's sidekick now and officially in a show, We'll be able to see that dynamic finally on screen because they kind of changed the backstory of Bucky in a lot of ways.
And I like their on-screen chemistry.
Oh, yeah. They go back all the way to Civil War. They just have this thing, that odd couple thing that's just going to work so well.
When Steve kisses the agent and they look at him like, that's our boy.
Yeah, exactly. Get it, son. That's what they were saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're both independently really happy for Steve. That's the one thing they can agree on. They wanted Steve to be happy. Now that that's happened, sorry for the spoiler, they can move on and they can be a team together. And I think they're actually friends. They just give each other crap like, most friends do. Like, you think they were sitting around with Cap, like, making him feel like God's gift? No, they were giving him crap too,
Yeah.
There's something that occurred to me. In that alternate universe where Cap went to live out his life, would there not technically have been a Falcon and a Bucky there?
I don't know.
Or would there have been a Winter Soldier that just never got turned? Ooh, da-na-na.
Yeah. Who knows?
That'd be crazy. I hope we get to play around in that universe someday. That'd be cool. Gosh, so many opportunities got opened by that, man. It's so cool. But yeah, so just really quickly, what do you like? I do. So it starts filming. I slipped my line. When did you say October? Is that what you said?
Yep, that is straight out of Sebastian Stan's mouth. It films in October.
Good old Sebastian, man. That guy, he's so cool. Anyway,
I need to see a scene somewhere in my life with Sebastian Stan and Richard Madden in the MCU. We need to see them side by side so people get confused which is which.
We also need to see them side by side so that they can get cast in a Star Wars movie as Jedi. All right. Did you see? Okay, backtracking. Did you see what the Hound looked like? Had his hood up. He looks like a Jedi Master. I want that actor to play. I don't know the actor's name. The guy that plays Sandor Clegane. I want him to play old. Like, it could be like a guy that gets killed in some big battle.
He reminds me of Luke Harper, man.
Because if it is like the old, that's true. If it is imagine Luke Harper as a Jedi. Oh, anyway, with that speed, oh my gosh. But anyway, did he say he wanted to be an actor too after all the acting he did? I think he wants to be an actor. So
I don't know actually.
He was in one of the like Frontier things, like not the show, I don't think, but one of those movies where it was like Frontiersman or whatever. He played like a bearded bro. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, if it is an Old Republic kind of thing, that would make sense if they brought in someone like him, even if it's just like a big battle where he dies, in some epic way. Like maybe he's like one of the few Jedi that does actually tap into his emotions, But anyway, yeah, I mean that should be really interesting to see where that Falcon and Bucky show goes, because I want to see what they can do with that show, because I hope it's like a limited series where it tells a story over a period of months before whatever we lead into next, and then that sets the stage for whatever comes after all these weird shows where we're getting like WandaVision and the Loki thing that's going to be alternate universes probably, and but whatever, So that being said, you found an interesting story about a movie that some people are interested in. Some people, I don't think, even know what it is. And so Masters of the Universe now has a date on it of March 5th, 2021.
Yep.
So tell me what you know about it, Charlie.
Yeah, so we know that Noah Centineo is cast as He-Man. We know that Sony really wanted to get him on board after the Charlie's Angels movie. And I don't blame him, because last year when To All the Boys I Loved Before came out around, I believe it was August, he wasn't really known by anyone. And fast forward less than a year later, and he's 17.5 million followers on Instagram, and he's one of the hottest younger names right now. And I mean, again, like we kind of talked about with Robert Pattinson, I went and watched his movies. I went and watched Noah's movies on Netflix, and I like it. I mean, he plays different roles in all the movies, and I think he's a good actor. I think he's starting off. He was also in the TV show called The Fosters, it looks like. So
interesting. Yeah, none of the stuff that he's been in I've heard of, but that doesn't mean it's not stuff. I mean, the thing is, I'm open to anybody playing these roles because I know like basic stuff about He-Man. Like I know the alliances and who's evil, who's good. Skeletor, you know. But anyway,
it really adds to this 2021. Like we were kind of talking earlier, 2021 is going to be nuts, man.
Oh, it's so crazy. Batman, you got an unnamed Marvel movie, which is probably going to be, what are we saying?
There's 3 Marvel movies.
Sorry, 3 unnamed Marvel movies, which they look possible. So let's talk about what
James Gunn's Suicide Squad as well.
That's going to be insane. And we'll probably start the filming of, maybe not start the filming. They'll probably already be in the middle of production probably at that point of Guardians 3. So it'll be really, we'll get information about Guardians 3 probably, some casting news on that because they'll probably bring some new people in. We might get Adam Warlock in that.
I can't wait till we find out who's playing Warlock.
It's Richard Madden. Anyway. Nah, not really. But that would be crazy. But, gosh, we should do a fantasy cast of Warlock at some point, but throw that out into the universe. We'll do that at some point. So yeah, I mean, that sounds really interesting to me. Honestly, I love the whole idea of the expansion of He-Man lore going to the masses because everybody loves. I think like everyone can appreciate what He-Man was.
It's good timing too, man. Early 2021. It's gonna be
You're hitting old people and young people that rediscovered He-Man. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. It'll probably be a decent box office, but I don't know if it'll be good. I'm not gonna make any predictions now, but if it's got enough interest, we'll have to see when more information comes out what happens.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, so I mean that's pretty much everything we have to talk about. Unless you want to go through those movies we think are going to be in those Marvel slots, so we can like hype people up even more.
We can hit them real quick. We're thinking Black Panther 2.
Yep.
The Eternals and Shang-Chi, unless somehow they get Guardians out that end of the year.
It's not impossible for a director to make 2 movies at once. It's probably a lot easier when you have 2 for like Endgame. But I mean, yeah. James Gunn may just be so obsessed with both groups at this point that he's just like immersed and he doesn't care. Obviously, as a comic book nerd that really appreciates the ragtag sort of out there groups that not everyone buys, group panels or group comics of or whatever. And he's already embracing the Suicide Squad's nature of being both random and not really traditionally known heroes. So it's a mashup team. That's what you get, But anyway, That aside, that's pretty much it for this video. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe and click that bell so you know when we go live or upload a video. And this has been the VE Movie News. We'll see you guys later.